Welcome, welcome, welcome. Liz, how are you this week?
It's a great week in the neighborhood. So yeah, we had a great weekend. We went out, 2 or 3 authors, myself and a couple of our authors, Beth that we talked to a few weeks ago, and
Yeah.
be talking with coming up. We went out and sold some books and just had a good time and networked and met people and just hung out. And it's just nice to get away for a few days and just travel through the trees of East Texas.
Yeah, it's a beautiful countryside out there, and I miss Texas. I haven't been out there for a while, and I need to come back. And I think we have an event that we're planning out there sometime in the fall, so we'll be talking a little bit more about that in the future.
We'll be here in Dallas, November 27th, 28th, 29th, with a author adventure book camp workshop. We're going to, instead of a boot camp, we're going to have a book camp. And we'll be helping people plan for their 2023 release and help them figure out how to write, publish, and market their book in 2023. They can do that maybe in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. Of course, it kind of depends on how much you write and how fast you write and how much, if you've got a few dollars to invest, you can speed up the process. So that was great.
And it also, it doesn't matter what you want to create, whether you want to use writing as a business or if you want to just use writing as a tool, as an introduction way to get introductions and, book speaking events, and also just to allow yourself the outlet to actually create something amazing and, tell your story. We all have a message. We all have a story. We all have a gift that we can share. And there's a lot of people out there that are interested in hearing what you have to say. So if you're thinking about writing a book or you're thinking about discovering your story and working through that process, Liz is by far one of the most versatile individuals and the most seasoned veterans I know that has years of wisdom locked up in there waiting to help you. And so I really appreciate you, Liz, and all the things that we're doing with this live stream and highlighting some of the authors that are coming up. So talk a little bit about today and what we're going to be sharing.
Well, that'll be great. We're going to be talking with author Sara Sewell here in just a minute. Sara's a new author. We're actually launching her book next week. So she'll be launching next Monday. So getting a little jump on it, but we'll put the links in the show notes and stuff. But before we do that, we're all about the art and business of publishing. And we believe there are 5 secrets or 5 elements that you need to be a successful author. And those are writing, publishing, launching, marketing, and distribution. And so we're going to talk about writing, give a couple of secrets today related to writing. And Russ is going to do that for us. And then I'm going to come back on with Sara. So go ahead, Russ.
Well, thank you so much, Liz. And I want to talk a little bit about the idea of the different styles of writing. And like I mentioned before, everybody has an opportunity to use this as a tool for their own outlet. And the difference is that we can actually publish some of our ideas if we don't necessarily want to jump into the business side of the equation. However, there is an opportunity where you can actually use your writing skills and your talent to actually develop it as a business to where you can actually publish it, sell it, promote it, and market it. Like Liz was talking about, the 5 steps to, publishing success and becoming an author and a published author in that sense. And a lot of people, myself included, have written books, have been published, and we did it for a specific reason. And one of the reasons I wrote the book wasn't necessarily to create a business out of it, but to enhance my business from the results. I've been in marketing for decades, and I've been in advertising and technology. And I wrote the book to allow myself to get introductions to other people. And so that's one side of the equation. And sometimes writing, I've filled out dozens of Moleskine notebooks over the years. And sometimes it's just therapeutic. And sometimes the act of going through this process, publishing it, stating your ideas and your convictions and your thoughts is very therapeutic. It's very powerful for those around you, and it sets your mind in a way that allows you to actually get clear on what your ideas are, what you want to say, how you want to say it, and publishing it allows you the actual opportunity to expand those ideas and share them with the world, because there's so many people out there that really want to learn more. And I think it's important that you understand that you don't have to have it in a business. You don't have to go full tilt. You don't have to think about, okay, all these things that go into it. Just start slow, start easy, take your journaling, build it out, create a book, edit a little bit, and get started. And then maybe if you get the itch, you can take it to the next level and graduate into more of a business opportunity for yourself. So those are the two kinds of opportunities you have for writing a book, and we want to share more as we journey through this this endeavor of sharing people that have published their books and the wisdom that Liz brings to the table and continues to share with the community here. So thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity, and I want to make sure that, did I miss anything, Liz?
No, I think that's it. You can write for fun or you can write for profit, and that sometimes that writing doesn't need to see the light of day. Sometimes it's just for the family or maybe just for a few people. And sometimes it's for the world. And as you talked about, Russ, therapeutic, our author today, Sara Sewell, is, she was journaling and basically had childhood trauma and suppressed those memories so that she could survive. And she found a way to do that. But some of that was through journaling and through writing, because I think she had a gift for writing and she liked to write. I know she would probably not consider herself a professional writer, but she's going to be after this week. So, so next week she is going to be a professional writer. So I really am just delighted. This is episode 8 for Author Adventure. And I would like to bring on my friend Sara Sewell. So Sarah's got a new book coming out next week. And so we're going to clap for her because, she's a little bit nervous here. She's just starting to do some of these things. But welcome to the show, Sara. So nice to have you.
Thank you, Liz. Good to be here. Very good.
Yeah. So, we're just going to have a conversation here about the writing process. I know it's kind of hard for those of us that, like you were a teacher, so you taught English and you taught composition. I mean, I was a journalism major, and so I really struggled with, could I write creatively? I mean, I knew I could write journalistically, but I wasn't sure I could write something creative like a children's book or a fiction or a nonfiction book like we're talking about. And so how did it start for you? You did write as a child, didn't you? But I mean, you never thought about publishing a book, did you? You were just putting your thoughts down?
No, that my journaling was my friend, Liz. Feeling alone sometimes with the things that were going on in the home. But I think my journaling was more than just me. We called it a diary years ago. I think it's more commonly referred to now as a journal. And I discovered that when I was writing, I didn't feel so alone. But I do, looking back, think I was always meant to write because writing is a joy for me as well.
Yeah,
so,
and it's a gift. And when you're joyful, and that's the other thing, I don't know why we think that if we enjoy something that we're not supposed to do it.
Right.
Here we are.
Right. Well, and I guess,
Sara, I think we lost your video somehow. I don't know if you accidentally hit a stop cam or something.
Oh, so nobody's been able to see me all this time. Okay, here we go.
There we go.
There you go.
We got you back.
Oh, sometimes it's good not to see yourself.
No, it just barely turned off, Sara. So we heard every word you said.
Good. So we were leading off with the joy of writing. And yes, writing for me was, and then later it became a hobby. Where I was taking just opportunities to, not considering myself a creative writer, just write about, I don't know, just general observations, and I would put it in my journal. Sometimes when I was traveling, Liz, I would just see something interesting about people, some observation I had about people, and I'd take out my pen and some scratch paper, and because that was going to be a story. It was always going to be incorporated into a story at some point.
Right, some form or fashion. Yeah, and so, you never know where it's going to lead to, but those of us that are creative, when we see something or we have an idea in our head or get a thought about something, you need to write it down. So we recommend everybody get a journal. Maybe you want to write on the computer. That's okay too. We're all old school. We like to write in the real. We like to get the little book. We like to get the notebook or the actual journal in a bookstore or a Target or whatever, and write in that and keep those notes together. And like Russ said, he's got hundreds of those journals that he's written in over the years, and
not a stack like this.
And Sara does too. So that's just like you say. It's therapeutic for you. Two, it builds your skills.
Yes.
So the more you do it, the better you get. Writing, obviously, some people have a talent for that. I think you have a talent for that. Other people, maybe they're not as talented, but they can get better the more they write.
Yes.
So it is a skill that does improve because you increase your word. Like you say, you increase your composition, you increase your grammar. All of that comes as a part of writing on a consistent basis. So
yes, I often say we don't speak, as an English teacher, I tell my students, we don't write as we speak.
You're right. That's it.
It's in quotes. But my point with that, Liz, is that we learn to spell better when we write. We learn our grammar better when we write because we don't speak grammatically necessarily, and we don't care about how it's spelled when we're speaking. So there are a lot of improved skills come with the practice of writing.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're very right about that. So Sara's new book is called Because No One Asked, Healing Through Writing. And so we really want to, talk about that because it was a difficult journey for you, wasn't it? And Sara's very courageous in that she got to the point, and it wasn't easy. And we're not saying it happened overnight, but she knew something was wrong in her life, and she took steps to figure out what that was. So, Sara, do you mind sharing a little bit with our audience today about how you came to write this book?
Yes, it's such a big question. I appreciate the question. It occurs to me, the chronology of it. First of all, I had all of this information there in my journals. There were many questions I had about my past, and just organic conversations I was having with family members. Things would come up about, oh, we thought this happened, or I thought this happened. And I thought to myself, well, if they thought those things happened, why did you not ask me about it? Why did you not ask me if I'm okay? Why? And that type of thing. So I began realizing there were people in my family that didn't understand me and the dynamics of our family, but they didn't ask because it's not nice to ask. And I wanted my close family members to know some things to help them understand. But what came out of that was more than just the family, more than just documenting it for myself. I noticed as I was writing and organizing my journaling and all my stories, I was becoming aware of more. And I was connecting the dots about my past. And I thought to myself, wow, this is helping me by my telling, my writing, and then my telling, that this can help other people.
Right. Yeah. For sure. Because that's the thing. I mean, people have they have trauma in their life. They have something that's happened to them. Maybe they remember it. Maybe they don't. A lot of people suppress those memories because the brain protects you, especially if you're young. But they don't go away. They're still there sometimes, and they come back, and you're sometimes you're not sure what's going on because they seem like dreams, or you're getting little pictures, and you don't know if it's something that really happened, or is it something you dreamed, or is it, but through that process, you found that some of these things actually had happened and they were real. And that, and as an adult, you're maybe better able to at least start to try to address some things, I think.
Right. So when the suppressed memories were coming around, I didn't know what they were. And I had to get a handle on what in the heck is this. But I can tell you that not everything was suppressed. I think in my case, the more traumatic it was, the more suppressed. And the younger I was, the more suppression is probably too. So I hope in my telling and describing some of what you and I are talking about here, that readers something in there is going to click for them. And the most important thing I would like readers to know about the telling is to make sure when you speak it's with a safe person, that you're in a safe place to tell your story.
Yeah, because the sad fact is not everybody's going to want to hear your story, or they're not going to be maybe compassionate or willing to listen all the way without making judgments. And, so we really want to, encourage you to find that safe place. Hopefully it's a friend or somebody in the family, but sometimes it's not, sometimes it's a therapist or a counselor or somebody else, maybe it's a teacher if you're a younger person. Maybe it's someone in the church, but you got to be careful about that too, because, there obviously is abuse in a number of situations. And, we don't want somebody that's been taken advantage of to be more taken advantage of. So, but I think writing it yourself, and then, like you say, very carefully beginning to talk about some things, or maybe just sharing a memory that you've had, and that gives you the opportunity to hear somebody's response. And if their response is positive, you'll be able to feel it. You'll be able to feel whether they're, a warm, giving person that you can, continue to share with or not. So for sure.
Yes. And for me, it was a therapist initially, and then 2 family members later. Once I got the courage and trying to put more of the dots together. So now the most courageous thing for me, and you know this, Liz, having worked with me now for some months, is putting my story out there.
Right. Yeah. It's true. I mean, once you put it out there, you can't get it back, and so you really have to, have that serious conversation with yourself and say, am I really willing and able and to take this? Because like you say, I mean, you're going to get, hundreds of positive responses, but it's that one negative response that we can't seem to get our mind away from, and so, so we do, and what I would do is if you're writing something and you've had a traumatic experience, that you try to surround yourself with people, with people that will stand with you, shoulder to shoulder, and who will create that safe place for that to happen. And I hope that Sara feels like she's got that with us, and because we are, and we're not going to, allow other people to be critical because, they haven't been in your shoes. They haven't walked your walk. We all walk a different walk. I mean, we can, try to imagine what something might have happened, but, until we experience ourselves, we don't really know. So we appreciate very much that you would tell your story. So it's called Because No One Asked, Healing Through Telling. And like Sara says, she feels like that first thing is writing. And you wrote poetry too, didn't you? The book really includes some powerful poetry, which was basically, I think, Sara's subconscious or unconscious way of getting out what happened, even though she wasn't probably conscious of it at the time. That didn't happen until later on. And tell us a little bit about that, because as you and I have discussed a lot, healing's not linear. And so we don't want people to think that, this is the only solution, and there's only one solution, and there's only one way. And, we're all different, and we all respond, and we all have a different emotional reaction to things. And we all have a different level of tolerance level too, I think, whether that's pain, emotional pain or physical pain. I'm not a physical type person. I'm not jumping out of no airplanes. I'm not doing any of that. I have a high financial, economic risk level. My level is much higher than most people. And that's why I've been able to be an entrepreneur for 30 years. But not everybody can do that. See, not everybody can take a financial risk. Not everybody can take an emotional risk. We have different levels. Mm-hmm. And we work our way there, don't we? And you've kind of worked your way there through what? A lot of resources. And that's the other thing about your book. Sara's book has it has some toolbox, an emotional toolbox, which are tools that she's used. Do you want to share a little bit about that, Sara, or about your journey as far as, certain things that you were able to incorporate, into your daily life, I think, weren't you?
Oh, yes. So writing, of course. Telling the story, but I think on a daily basis, I incorporate breath work when things get anxious. I think any of us, whether we've had trauma or not, that's good for any of us because we all have stresses. Also, mantra, right here, right now. Anytime something might flash that causes me or a trigger, as I call them, that might put me in an emotional state that I don't want to be in. My mantra is right here, right now. It immediately brings me right here, right now, into this moment where it's good, not the moment that happened years ago. And I think there are other things that are in the toolkit, but those are the 4 that I would say I use on a daily basis. Well, routinely.
Right. Routinely. Yeah. Every day or two or whatever, for sure. So, so that's it. And and we, like we talked about, since we're all different, maybe it's something else for you, and you figure out what that thing is for you, and what you can say to yourself or what you can, do, it may be some action that you need to take. Sometimes we need to get up and walk away or take a walk outside or play with the dog or, like you say, be with somebody we love or whatever it might be. So there are different ways that we cope and stuff, but you'll be glad that when you read Sara's book, not only does she tell her story, but she offers that up. She also offers up some resources, some things that helped her over the years, because it is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. You become a little bit more aware, a little bit more aware, and a little bit more aware. And as you expand your mind, you're also maybe able to cope with different situations. So there we are. So this is the cover of the book. So Because No One Asked, Healing Through Telling. So you look for that black and blue, that fabulous black and blue colors on Amazon. So we're going to go live next week on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. And so these are some, like you say, some great pictures of Sara, because she's gotten to the other side. And the reason she wrote this book, Because No One Asked, is because she wants you to get to the other side. So if you're struggling and you have a situation and something in your past that's keeping you from really being happy, we want you to try to move in a direction that will help you heal and help you get to your best life, because we all deserve that. None of us deserve the trauma and the sad things that happen. But we can, choose to enjoy life. And Sara's made that choice. She made the choice to figure out what was going on in her life. Tell us a little bit about that. That was really, you had a reason, didn't you, for finding out what was going on and why some of the panic attacks and some of the things that were happening?
Yes, I remember very clearly the day when I didn't, the memories were coming so hard that I couldn't deal with them. And I was having a panic attack and didn't know it.
Right.
And it occurred to me that if this happens when I'm in a car, either whether by myself or with my daughter, I could not afford to have either one of us in danger, because she needed her mama and I needed her safe. And so it scared me enough to know that I did no longer have a choice to not seek help.
Right.
And I started asking around, looking around, because at the time I couldn't afford a therapist. Our insurance didn't cover it, but I found a way. And I tell them, and my readers will learn that aspect as well, that there is a way when we're ready. So yeah, it was a moment. It was a big, huge moment that I just had to put the brakes on what was happening and get a handle on it.
Yeah, for sure. So that's it. So don't think, because like you say, you're, and even if you're still in that bad situation, start looking for ways to, to prepare to move out of that if you can. Start looking for opportunities, or maybe people or time frames or something where you can address that issue if you can. I mean, it's much harder, obviously, if you're still in a dangerous situation, and we want you to be very careful about that. But if it's something that's happened in your past, there are steps that you can take to try to move to the other side of that. And you can move through it, and you can get to the other side, can't you, Sara?
You can. And I would like the readers to know, our listeners, choosing to pick up the book, you'll find that it's written as I'm speaking to you. As I've written in my journal, it was like I was writing to someone else who may have been listening to me. So it's for the reader, written to the reader. I think in a style that they may find unique to such a content that's intended to help. It's told raw, it's told hard and honest. And I think from that perspective, I hope the reader will take with them the sense of talking directly to them.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. And so there, and it's not for the faint of heart either in some cases, but it's a powerful story. It took a lot of courage to put it down, to put it on paper, and like you say, the final act of courage is putting things out there and being able to, to offer that up because you want to help somebody else.
I do.
And I know that's the reason that you wrote the story. I know that's the reason that you're willing to share it and for people. And so that people do know that it is possible to choose, to take steps. There's always a way. We just have to open our hearts and minds to it. Sometimes we need to ask the universe or God or whatever we call it, ourselves, our internal selves. A lot of the answers are inside, don't you think?
I absolutely agree with that. If we listen and breathe and relax, what I call our intuition gives us our answers. It may not come in the way like a voice. It may come with an object. It may come with what we call coincidences. It may come with just timing of something, but our answers are provided for us if we listen and look.
Right. Yeah. And open your mind. Because like you say, you maybe have to get to a certain level, thinking wise. We shared on the screen, some of the books, The Secret, The Law of Attraction. I mean, these are spiritual things that some people engage in. It works for some people, maybe not quite as well for others, but I think you have to be open to what's learning because the universe is mysterious. We don't have all the answers, but we have a lot of the answers. We have a lot of the answers inside ourselves. If we just get quiet enough, that's a problem for people like me.
It's a problem. It's a problem for quite most of us, I think.
Just to be quiet enough to listen and ask, because I think that's I think people are afraid to look inside because they're not sure anything is going to be there.
Sometimes we're afraid of our answers too, Liz.
Yeah.
And that's where the courage comes in.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to want to get to the other side more than you want to stay in your comfort zone. That's the hard thing. It's a hard thing to accept that sometimes we're more comfortable in a bad situation, whether that's a family or a relationship or whoever that might be. Here we are, Mary Caron. Thanks, Mary. We appreciate you joining us so much here today. But that is it. We have to, we have to get to the point where we don't want to live like this anymore. We know we deserve something better. We want something better. And, if you have children, I think that probably is is like you say, that's a much more compelling reason, to find help and to get help and to be healthy. And it's about mental health, and luckily we're moving into an era, I think, don't you, of being able to talk about mental health.
I absolutely do.
And that's a great thing, because in years past, you really have not been able to talk openly about mental health issues. But we have to be healthy because, we got to take care of ourselves. Because most of us as women, especially, are always taking care of other people. Men taking care of people too. I mean, Russ, our producer here on the show, he's taking care of himself, his mother, his sister, his clients. So we're not saying that men don't do it either, but a lot of times women won't take care of themselves. They take care of themselves last.
It's so true. Our culture shapes us up that way. It's not intentional. It's not anything malice. It's just the way our culture is. Typically, we're caregivers, nurturers, and we do take care of everyone else. And with that being said, Liz, we can absorb ourselves, those that may have experienced trauma in any form in their childhood or younger years, or at any stage, really. We can keep ourselves so busy that we're happy. We're happy going along, taking care of others, and we're happy going along, not remembering things. So it wasn't like I was one depressed blob of sorrow for years and years. I did have much, much joy in my life. But what I sometimes think can happen for many of us, those particularly that have suppressed trauma, is that at some point, not everyone, but it was for me, I had no choice. It was coming up. Those memories were just coming, whether I wanted them there or not, and I had to deal with it. And on the other side of that, having dealt with it and having accepted my truth, I can say to readers who may not think it's possible, that it is possible to be happy and joyous, even with all the crap that happened.
Right. That's exactly right. Yeah. Well, Sara, I thank you so much. I mean, you won't believe, we've already spent our 30 minutes. It's such a short time. And so I guess if there's any last thing that you want to say to the people that are watching or listening, because this is a podcast. And so I'm going to spell Sara's name for you. It's S-A-R-A, Sara Sewell, S-E-W-E-L-L. So S-A-R-A. Sewell. Her book's going to be available on Amazon, on Barnes & Noble, and Ingram, Spark, across platforms next week. And we encourage you to go if you see it on Amazon or you see it on an email, or we'll be posting on our social media and stuff, the book cover. So you'll see that, because no one asked book cover. That was beautiful black and blue cover that we had there earlier. So if you see that, you click on the link. We'll have the links to Amazon in those posts, and you'll be able to click on that and go direct to Amazon. We will be doing a special deal for about 72 hours next week, because when we can drive traffic at the same time, Amazon kind of takes note of that, and they begin to promote it for you. And so we know this is a powerful book, and we want people to be reading Sara's book. And so thank y'all for listening. We thank you for watching. If you're listening to this on the podcast, again, Sara Sewell, You can find her books eventually. It'll be at www.becausenooneasked.com. That's the title of the book, or possibly author Sara Sewell. So you can be looking her up there. So, well, thanks so much, Sara. I appreciate you. What's that last thought you want to leave with people watching today?
Choose happy. Choose happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take the courage that you have deep inside. Work through your troubles and choose happy.
Yeah, because you deserve it. We all deserve it. To be joyful, to be happy, and to live our best lives. And so we encourage that here. We thank you for your stories. We thank you, Sara, for sharing your story with our friends here, for the people watching and listening, and people all around the world that will be able to get your book and, and understand and know that they're not alone. Because that's the other thing that happens sometimes. We feel like we're so alone.
Yes.
Until we see or read or hear about somebody else's story. And then we begin to say, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm not the only one. And we don't compare pain. We know that anybody's pain is different, and everybody's pain is different, and none is worse or more than anybody else's. But we do want you to know that you can overcome that. And so Sara's been able to do that. She's sharing her story so that other people can do that. And so we hope you will. And if you don't have anybody else to talk to, you come and talk to Liz and Sara.
Yes, you do that.
So you can find us. You can find me across social media. You'll be finding Sara on some of those platforms too. And so we'll be looking for you. And we are creating this whole thing about authors. For us, it's about creating a safe place for people to tell their stories. And so we appreciate you so much being here, Sara. We appreciate those of you watching. We're here every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, 6 o'clock Eastern, maybe 3 o'clock if you're on the Pacific Standard Time. We hope you'll go back to our YouTube channel and rewatch this episode, because that will archive there after 24 hours. And then it'll also be available across podcast platforms, the audio. So thanks so much, Sara, for being here with us. This is your host, Liz Lawless, with Author Adventure. Russ, did you want to come back up, or we're out of time? I always run over.
Do you?
All right. I don't think he's coming back on. I think we'll finish up. So thank you so much. This has been Liz Lawless, your co-host for Author Adventure, with new author Sara Sewell. If you'll go check her book out on Amazon next week, it's called Because No One Asked: Healing Through Telling. So thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Liz. Bye-bye.